I believe our next speaker, for this session we have three speakers, an entire session that will take us through before we meet with Mr. Mike. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Tirhani Uluinakauvadra. We know him as T. He serves as Oceania Rugby's Participation and Pathways Manager and is a World Rugby Trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, over 20 years as an educator and extensive experience in rugby development programs, he understands better than most how to nurture young talent and build sustainable pathways. Ladies and gentlemen, he's speaking on age grade development, critical foundation that shapes our future rugby stars and ensures the long-term health of our game. We use this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, for his presentation and also for your questions at the end of the presentation. So let's give T a big round of applause to welcome him.
Uluinakauvadra, everyone. Yesterday we looked at the top of the tree, coconut tree, and as per the theme of today's symposium, it's about grassroots to treetop, aligning our system. Right? And today in my presentation, which I will try, there's a lot that I need to cover, but I will make sure that I will try and make sure that I stick to 5, maximum 7 minutes. So what my presentation today is about the grassroots, the roots of the coconut tree. Right? Now, I was asked to present on age grade development, but I thought the word that encompasses everything around development is the rugby development pathways, and the word pathways have been used often from yesterday and this morning. So age grade development is part of the whole rugby development pathways. Now I chose this picture as a start because it speaks a lot of language when you look at it. Probably some of you look at it from the safety perspective, right? It's too dangerous because there's a cone there and there's somebody with only one pair of shoes. But that's it, you know. And the presentation today will be about defining what brings people, kids or people to the sport. So, very quickly. If you look at some of the longitudinal studies and some of the research to find out what are the motives of children or people coming into sport. And I want us to have a look at this, and if you can read this, it will be very good. The purpose of children coming to sport is to have fun, do something that they are good at, learn new skills, and according to Weiss and Williams 2003, children strive for opportunities in sport and physical activity where they experience change, fun, and enjoyment. Right? For Seefeld et al. 1992, them it's about comparatives, success winning were ranked lowly or not at all as motive for participation. Right? Some of you might think, oh, it's a total contrast of what we saw yesterday. We will see the link, but it is very important for us to see the motive behind the children coming into the game. When they look at what brought them into the game, winning is rarely mentioned, right? And when they define fun, it's about excitement and pleasure. For the older children, it's achievement and satisfaction. For youth, it's about involvement and perception of control, adult. It's about mastery, orientation, sense of achievement. And for Gemba in the Japanese theory, right? For them, it's all about social health and some form of competition. Now let's, so with that in mind, in terms of what brings children to rugby or to any sport, and we start to look at what is the model, what is the ideal development model that will work. And as I've already highlighted, the importance of having something, a model that will be not too rigid, not too strict, because it's going to, in my next slide, next few slides, you will be able to see why it is a very tricky area to work with in order for you to develop a development model that is inclusive, that is that can accommodate many people, taking into consideration the different variables that we have, like age, race, gender, etc. So it's a non-linearity. It's coupled with the impact of key events and transitions in the development pathways. So children or people coming into sport, their motive or what their focus can change by something that they experience in life, or something that they experience in the sport that they have been. It's very complex and very difficult to actually model, as I've already highlighted. Now, it is important for us to also understand the importance of categorizing the different participation. And yesterday, I heard today as well in the morning, the discussion was more on the elite reference excellent. We call it ERE, okay? And that is, they are motivated by competition. They are motivated to win at the highest level. So, for example, the Olympic Games, and for those who were here yesterday, the PNC. So the elite model, or the high performance model, which Bill is going to elaborate more in terms of that pathways, that is one of the categorization. Very less that we heard about the personal reference of excellence. Okay, personal reference excellence, where individuals, they come into the sport because of their own, they have their own personal goal or personal aim to achieve, right? So, and take for example, people are coming in to stay fit. People are coming in to improve their personal best. So that category, that's a group that will be categorized under here. And the third one is the participation for personal well-being. This is probably one area that is probably not seen as important. But in the world that we lived in, we're talking about the different market or the target group, right? We've got about probably close to 50% Indo-Fijian origins. Where do they go? What do we have to offer them in our sport that will bring them? Because some of them, it's not about winning the Olympic medals. During the Western primary schools rugby a couple of years ago, you know, we had that competition during the Western primary schools, including Indo-Fijian girls. Apology for the language, but we, you know, it's quite hard to, because we are all Fijians. But it is important for us to actually identify them in that. For them winning or just coming in to participate in that tournament, it's like winning the World Cup. Right? There's so much celebration, there's so much happiness. And that's why they kept coming. So the question for us, what do we have to offer them in our Fiji Rugby development model, or in our own provincial development model? Fiji secondary schools, Fiji primary schools. I just want to break down some of the terminology around this, you know, on how we segment the different model. So new to rugby segment, it's important to note that we also have adults in there. Because a 30-year-old person coming in who wants to try out rugby, what do we have in offer for them? It's a question for us to think about. Participation segment, it's all about participation, social participant, recreational, informal, and active for life. Some of them, they come and play touch rugby just to stay healthy. and have fun. And that's a game offering for them, which suits them. Question that we have to ask, what is a model that we have that can capture all this? We talk about performance segment. I won't elaborate more on that because Bill is coming up shortly and he will be talking about performance and high performance. So performance segment, that will be Bill's area. Now the competitive segment, which is the second categorization, people are coming in for formal, recreational, fit for life, right? If you look at participation, for them it's about active for life. This is fit for life. So they have a personal goal when they come into the sport. They want to improve their personal best, as I've already highlighted. Recreational, competitive, there's elements of competition in this segment here. I just want to share with you some of the studies, okay, that was done by Aspen Institute in the US regarding how the pyramid model is not working. Okay, it's a broken down model. Why? Because it does not serve people who are outside the pyramid. So I just thought that it will be very important for us to think about this as we are going to go through the pathway model that Fiji Rugby Union have just come up with, using all the reference that I have already alluded to. It is important for us because we have the deaf rugby here. What do we have for them in our development model? Okay. What they have realized, it's probably from pyramid they are moving into a square model. Okay, so you can capture everyone in there, taking into account all the different variables. Now, a couple of years ago, we had some discussion, regional discussion with some of the World Rugby staff, and we talked about what are the different development model that are already existing. And this was something that we came up with. Now, if you look at the immature structure, the focus is more on performance, very less on development. That's it. And whilst we are going through this, it will be important for us to look at what sort of structure do we have. This is a developing structure, so we have started to think of the children. The developed structure is one that looks after development in a more broader perspective. So we are not just narrowing ourselves and putting more into performance. Now, the question I asked earlier was, where are we? Where is Fiji Rugby in terms of their structure or their model? To me, when we look at the criteria, we look at the game variant that is already existing, I would say that we have already got a matured model. A matured model with gaps that needs to be addressed. When I said that, okay, we've got the high performance, which is on international competition. We've got a good amount of domestic competitions. Right? This will be more, you will get more clarity around this when it comes to the model that Fiji Rugby Union have drafted, which will require your input today. And then why I'm saying the big gap here is, look at the green. Okay? The people who are coming in for recreational rugby, Question is, what do we have? Have we got enough or even an organized way to capture the people who are coming in just for recreational rugby and people who are already retiring from rugby? After all the discussions that we had up in Dublin that time with all the different models, then I was grateful with some of the colleagues that I have at Fiji Rugby Union. Then we helped put together a development model that we thought will work for anyone in the Pacific, even though there's still gaps around that. So we got the participation rugby, which has all the game variant, which has the other game variant like touch rugby, get into rugby plus, T1 rugby. Then we have domestic rugby, now performance. This is where the focus is. And it is true, because there's a lot of, when you talk about measure of success, it's all about performance, at the performance level. I guess the one that we still need to work on is on the recreational rugby. So this is the draft model. We're grateful to the development team and the acting CEO for putting together this model, which will require your input. So it's the same, following the same model as I've already shown, but from the grassroots on participation rugby, you have those game variant and programs that are offered for those who are just coming in for participation. We just need to make sure that we strengthen it. Somebody was saying, oh, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the infrastructure, but that is something that we need to address. Beach rugby is a common, is a big game variant that they are using in Nauru. We've got some beaches here. If we have a bit of structure in terms of rules, you know, we're talking about products yesterday. So this could be some of the variants that can be turned into products and can attract funds. We also have domestic rugby. So for domestic rugby, it captures all the provincial, Marama Championship, Skipa, even deaf rugby is also there, and that's something that I understand Fiji Rugby Union development team and the acting CEO will work on to try and bring it to light, because it's already there in the model. They also have the Ralube and, very important, Kachi and junior rugby. Yesterday there was a question about how do we get those who are falling out of the school system. What do we have for them? How can we capture them? So with that, I just want to, before I go to the final slide, so the high performance is no-brainer. It's all clear to us because we have been talking about that yesterday. But I thought, you know, from linking the grassroots, the root to the treetop, is a very important component as well for us. So I'm going to bring this slide, because this was a slide that Coley and I put together a couple of years ago when he was still with Fiji Rugby Union. Right? This was just a model where we thought, okay, there's good percentage of schools that are involved in the Kachi rugby games, good, and also in the Fiji secondary schools rugby, Dean's competition and the Ralube. And the big question is, what about those who are not part of that, those schools? This is where we came up with the junior rugby, and we developed, and this is the third year that we are going to run the junior rugby annual tournament in Nandi, and that runs from comprises of from under 8 right through to under 18. And God willing, this year we will have some of the regional unions coming in to be part of this. Why I said this, it's also important for us to look at the structure, because this morning there were discussions around how can we capture this, how can we try and promote at provincial level. So I just thought, it aligns to what Kole and I have put together. We have trialed it in Nandi, it's working very well, but again, it has to be built into the competition structure or built into the organization structure of Fiji Rugby, and I leave it to the decision makers to make decision on that. But I thought it is important for us to share this and have some discussion on the importance of having something outside Fiji Secondary School's Dean's competition and also the Kachi competition. This was just a very rough model that we thought, a food for thought. It was just something that we were just putting together, but I thought it will be important for us to have a look at it now. And just in summary of the presentation, okay, participation can be categorized based on the stage of development, age and ability, and there are other variables that we all know. Traditional pathways have been overly focused on the ERE, talent ID and competition, because that is the measure of success of any sport. Okay, so, and then we also need to understand from the presentation that one size doesn't fit all. If you're looking at age, stage, the appropriate coaching and what are the game provision that is available for everyone. Pathways must also reflect the needs, behaviors of participants and the needs of all areas of the game. So it should be, we should keep a balance, strike a balance between participation versus performance. We need to do modified playing pathways, and this is, we can learn from some of the practice that the Tier 1 unions are using. So from 6 to 6 Nation, Minis to Millennium, Small Blacks to All Blacks. I just want to make a comment here. It doesn't mean that it's working. Because if you look at New Zealand Rugby Union statement during the annual general meeting early this year, one of their biggest challenge is getting people at amateur level to come into their game. So we need to make sure that we don't go to that level. And I would say, at the moment, we have a lot of participation numbers, which will be great. And I just want to pose a statement there. If we focus, we need to strike a balance between participation and performance. And again, just to finish it off, for any development model to work, it has to be player-centered, development-driven, and competition-supported. So any workable development model that summarizes, it has to be player-centered. And I'm glad that, the model that Fiji Rugby have put together, you can see at the center of it are the players. Development-driven, we have the game variants around it, and very important, the competitions around the model. So with that, thank you very much, and I take this time